Thank you, everybody, for coming. We want to thank Make Offices for hosting us in this great space. Today, we've got a really interesting panel discussion on small business cross-border trade, and particularly how the digital marketplace and digital tools are helping small businesses reach a global audience. So this is part of PayPal Small Business Month, which is something that we have started this year to really support small businesses throughout the month of May, celebrate entrepreneurs, and also just go out into the local communities and ensure that small business owners have access to the digital tools that they need to grow and to do things like trade internationally. So as part of PayPal Small Business Month, we have flown some PayPal small business owners here to Washington, D.C. To talk about their experiences, share their stories, and talk about their experience with things like cross-border trade. So again, thank you all for coming. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Claire Pillsbury from Global Innovation Forum, and I'd like to welcome up the small business owners who are going to be speaking on the first panel.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Claire Pillsbury, and I'm with the Global Innovation Forum. We're thrilled to be here today partnering with PayPal to celebrate Small Business Month with this amazing group of entrepreneurs and small business owners that are here to share their global journeys with you all. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the Global Innovation Forum, we're a nonprofit startup ourselves. We're based here in Washington, D.C., and we work to engage startups and small businesses from around the world in conversations about global markets in today's digital age, and engage them with policymakers and corporations. So the purpose of this first panel here today is to hear from entrepreneurs across the United States about the opportunities they see in global markets, the challenges they face, and the tips, technologies, and best practices that they use to engage in globally. I'd also like to note that this session is being recorded to gain insights about the benefits of trade and international engagement to small business as the APEC Business Advisory Council continues research work into this area. So the format of this discussion, it's intended to be a conversation. So I'd like to give you all an opportunity to engage with our panelists today. We'll have Q&A time, so feel free to hold on to your questions and I'll open it up to the audience. So I'd now like to introduce our panelists today. We have Nikki Gentry, who is from O'Fallon, Missouri. Nikki is the founder of My Dreamlines, which is a personalized wedding dress and anniversary gift company. Abe Gonzalez, who is from Houston, Texas, and the owner and founder of RPC Global. Gustav Reyes, right next to me, who's from Chicago, Illinois, and is artist and owner of Simply Wood Rings. And we have Lisa Jones-Smith, who's from Mount Sinai, New York, and who is the founder and executive director of Worldwide Group Travel. So I'd now like to turn it over to our panelists and ask you all to tell us a little bit about your business and the role that global markets play in helping you succeed. So I'll start with you.
Hi, again, my name is Gustavo Reyes, and my business started very small, and in the name is Simply. So it's simple wooden rings that my wife kind of came to me with an idea of, can you make a wooden ring? And that question has been asked thousands of times on the internet by people sitting in their basements, in their bedrooms. They go to the computer and they type wooden ring. Just because she did it, I think there's thousands of people doing it, and we hit on something that people are asking questions that we kind of found an answer to, and for me, this idea should I just continue about what I do, or should I pass it on?
Well, tell us a little bit about global markets.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. The idea that the market is huge and that people all over the world kind of have that idea opened us up and made my business kind of grow faster than I thought at the very beginning. And early on at the start of our business, it was much more global. It's gotten to be a little more local now, but that's the core of my business. And we connect with people all over the world with these salvaged materials, and they're wooden wedding rings. Sorry.
Good morning. My name is Abe Gonzalez. I'm the owner of RPC Global. We're a computer recycling company based out of Houston, Texas. And what that means is when businesses get new computers, we're the guys who collect the old ones. When Paul invited me up here to the discussion, I started reflecting a little bit, trying to think about what to talk about. I just wanted to share this with you. The original name of the company was Right Price Computers. We used to fix computers out of a shop down in Houston. But we shortened the name to RPC to better reflect the services in recycling and data security. We added global to our name because that's where we wanted to go. And at first, we heard comments such as, oh, you guys have operations in Tokyo, London, and New York. Yeah, we had to deal with that. But we remained steadfast, for we believed technology was the key to getting us there. In 2012, we closed down the repair shop, and we started selling online exclusively. And it's fair to say, our business has taken off. In 2012, we were doing $275,000 a year in sales. This past year, 2017, we did $2.5 million. In 2012, we had 4 employees. Today, we have 16. And so, leading into that, if the naysayers are listening, I hope they now understand that in the digital world, you don't have to have operations in Tokyo, London, and New York. In the digital world, there are no boundaries. And for that reason, a small business like mine can become a truly global company. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Jones. I'm the owner and founder of Worldwide Group Travel and Events. I worked for a large company, travel company, for 18 years. And while sitting there, I realized I found my niche. I saw there was a disconnect between the customer and doing business internationally. We would have people come in and set up room blocks, and I would turn them over to an international event, an event planner on location, and the ball would get dropped in location. And I saw that there was someone who needed to bridge that gap between, so our specialty is international event planning. As you know, doing business internationally is not the same as doing business here. You have to understand the culture a little bit, and I use that as my niche. When I named the business Worldwide, it was because I knew I wanted to do business worldwide. And to date, I've had brides as far away as Poland, as far away as Brazil. I have international vendors all over the country, all over the world, because we create experiences. So it's gone into so many different directions. I was just telling someone I produce fitness trips now, and I've had people come as far away as Africa and England, because I can reach everybody through social media and through the internet. So doing business international is very important to me, and the growth of my business as well. International event planning. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nikki Gentry. I'm the owner of Dreamlines Wedding Dress Sketches. Essentially, a husband or a groom will send us a wedding photo, and then we will create a sketch of the gown, bouquet, suit, and then he will give it to her as an anniversary gift or a wedding day gift. We also do bridal shower gifts and wedding gifts. I've been global from day one, and it's been a great fit. I have had a hiccup. Most of the men who order wait to the last minute. Shocker, I know. So since they wait to the last minute and they order today and they would like the sketch this weekend, it's great for the US. I have 2 artists here and I have 1 in Europe. Well, if I have someone that orders in Europe, my artist in France can deliver, within Europe, and it works great. But if I get an influx of orders and I ship to Europe or even Australia, the time it takes to receive it is so much longer because of customs. So that's been a huge, it's on my website. I ended up having to disclaim that the time frame is going to be much longer. So the orders have dropped off tremendously. So I think that's been the biggest hiccup for me globally. And my artist, if she delivers a sketch, if we send a sketch here to the US, it gets stopped in New York. So unfortunately, that stopped a bit more than I've wanted it to. So I've spent my time marketing where it's more profitable, which is in the US. So.
Great, thank you all. One thing we've heard you all mention, and we hear from all the startups that we work with, is how in today's digital world, it's easier than ever before to connect with colleagues and customers and partners worldwide. And I know a number of you have started your business out of your own homes or work remotely. In some cases, you don't even meet with your customers face-to-face until the day of the event. So I was wondering if you could touch on some of the key technologies that you use, whether it be social media, like you mentioned, but also other technologies that you rely on to operate your business, logistics and shipping services or productivity, and that sort of thing. So I'll start with you, Lisa, since you were talking about it already a little bit before.
Without social media and the internet, I just think back to 12 years ago when I started Worldwide Group Travel. It was really because I wanted to be a mom. I was getting married, I wanted to be a mom, but I still wanted to make money, and I still wanted to work from home. So that's how it began. And then once I realized the internet can drive business from everywhere. And the other thing is I wanted to make money when I was sleeping. I did not, and I wanted to make money while I was sitting on the beach or in my backyard in the pool, whatever. I just wanted to make money, and people didn't know where I was or didn't have to know where we were. So that's where the internet and PayPal came in. PayPal was an original partner. I thought PayPal worked perfect for me because they screened the clients as far as money was concerned. You know, when taking money on the internet, you need to be careful. And so partnering with PayPal just really worked out for me. Then, and the internet. I mean, it started off by driving business through the internet, and then now social media became a huge tool for us now. Without the internet, without social media, we are virtual. And I don't meet, a lot of our clients, we do not meet until we're in location. So without the internet, that wouldn't be possible. Without social media, it wouldn't be possible. So I consider, the continuing growth in technology is what's going to help us to continue to grow, and being able to market through those platforms is very important to the growth of international business.
So we use LinkedIn to make a lot of our connections. We actually use LinkedIn, but really we have four eBay stores, and we have one Amazon store, and that's where we find that we develop most of our relationships, actually through that first sale. Once you do the first sale, then you got a customer, and so we've been able to develop relationships with customers all over the world. The second part of it is we've set up relationships with almost all the transportation companies, both freight and as well as ground service, international ground economy. So USPS, FedEx, DHL, all of the transportation services, because depending on the country that you're going to ship to, you might have to use one service over another, so which is very important. But that's how we've been able to grow internationally. That's how we've been able to develop internationally.
Hi. Some of the hurdles, I'm going to go a little negative, but the idea that my business started very good internationally and has dropped, and mainly not because of PayPal or shipping or any of those simpler things. It's mainly because of what the internet and social media has done to kind of parse up, and that's some of the hurdles that we've been trying to kind of deal with more recently. But and the idea that customers kind of can reach us, but I lost my point now. So I'm going to pass it on then. Sorry. I know when I'm done.
Same for me with Lisa. Social media has been huge for me. I mean, that's how I market. I blog, I have influencers, but PayPal's been with me for 8+ years. It's a global company. It's well known. People, trust it, and when they're purchasing, $400 to $1,000 worth of products from me, I need that. I need that partnership. So that's been huge for me.
Great, thank you. So next, I think I wanted to touch on, we heard just now you mentioned some of the challenges you face, and I think small businesses especially, they're there are a lot of challenges that businesses face worldwide, but as a small business with limited resources, it's especially difficult. So I wanted to see if you all could sort of highlight one or two of your top challenges that you face as you engage with your international customers, suppliers, and partners, and how that's your experience has been with those. So maybe Gus, I'll start with you since you were just getting on that track.
And again, getting to the point of the biggest challenge has been, I'm sorry, I'm losing it. Just because of initially, like I said, we had a worldwide audience, and I think competition is important too. But because people can do what you do all over the world, so you have to set yourself apart, and I think that's been one of the things that we've been able to do. But across borders and doing international shipping has always been pretty easy for us. Again, it's this idea that that you have to kind of market, and I think one of the big things for us is that Facebook and Google have kind of broken up the world into different segments, and you can't reach those people that I initially could reach 10 years ago. So it's become harder to kind of cut through that, those barriers that are put through, just even through with the technology of what a search engine does. Because now my base is the United States, when I had like all of Europe, and I mean I had orders from all over the world, and I think that's one of the things that has been limiting as years go on for us, and the idea that it's getting cut up and then monetized. So we're having to pay a little bit more on advertising. But that's one of the things that I just have to learn and kind of get over and work past. So I hope that helped a little bit.
So we have customers in Australia. We have customers in Bolivia, South America, Europe, Africa. And one thing that they've all told us is that American products are in demand in their countries. They love American products, whether it's clothes, computers, electronics, and they want to buy American products. Now, they can't buy new. They don't have the resources. They don't have the money to buy new products, but they can definitely buy used products. They can buy used computers, and they can buy used computers from me. So that's the thing that they tell me. But by the time that between adding the logistics, the cost of logistics, the duties and fees for importing, export, it becomes cost prohibitive to purchase these American products, and that's where I found the most some difficulties selling internationally, and hopefully that's something we can work out, make it better.
When I thought about the challenges for me, I thought that the biggest issue that I see is Facebook constantly changing the game. I do a lot of advertising on Facebook, and every month they change a rule or they change the way we market. And so I'd like to see that, not change as much, because we're always on our toes with the new changes. I mean, I'm looking at some new changes now. So I would probably say that's the biggest challenge for me.
Again, I've already shared. I mean, my challenge are customs. I mean, when I have someone that needs an order, in 2 weeks and I can't get it to them in time. Australia, I can't remember if I mentioned this, takes 30 days. It can go through customs and the package is just stuck there. So, and my customers know this, and this is why my orders have dropped. So hopefully that could change. So that we'll have to see.
Great, thank you. And I have one last question for you all before we turn to the audience. Trade policy has been, trade has been a hot topic in the news recently, and especially with the United States withdrawing from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and talk about renegotiating NAFTA and potential tariffs with China. So I was wondering from the perspective of you all in different parts of the United States, doing business with different countries, how important do you think it is that the U.S. government keep markets open internationally for you all to continue to succeed and grow? And how do you see trade agreements or partnerships with other countries helping you in that regard? I'll start with you, Gus.
I'm going to try again. I think it's critical that it stay open, even with the difficulties that I've faced. I think it's important that, from my perspective, that people have an alternative to traditional wedding rings, and that's something that I've kind of contributed to the world. Just because if not just to be able to answer this question and give people a product that all over the world that kind of allows them to kind of fulfill that part. I'm not a jewelry wearing person, and I see that there's people all over the world that are not into jewelry, but they want to wear a wedding ring. So this is one of the things, or they're not into the metal part of it, and they want to wear a wedding ring. So for me, I think that's important. So.
I believe trade should be open worldwide. I don't know, that's might be a dream, but I do believe trade should be open. Interesting, we're not far from the Mexican border, and it costs us more money to ship something to Mexico than it would for us to ship something to London in England, just to give you a comparison. So the NAFTA, I'm not sure where it's going with NAFTA, but there is something wrong from there. And we do have Mexican customers. They come, they buy from us, and by the time they cross it across the border, the cost for them is just extremely outrageous. So I don't understand that. We're here in the U.S., got a huge border with Mexico, got a huge client base there, and it's very difficult to sell to that market. So whatever it takes, open borders, free trade agreements, I'm all for it.
Well, I create experiences. So for me, it's also for us to be liked around the world. So, people want unique experiences now when they travel. They don't want to go somewhere where we're hated. So I'd like to see our global relationships be friendlier. That's very important to my business.
Same for me too. I mean, to be able to be global is huge. And I've talked to many small business owners, and they are starting out very small, and they are terrified of going global. And I'm not really sure what that fear is, if they think there's more to it, but the process has been very simple and easy, and I haven't had any problems in regards to that relationship. So I mean, I think it's a crucial point for business owners because many of us are global, so.
Great, thank you all. I'd now like to see if there are any questions from the audience that you want to ask them. Yeah? So just identify yourself and before asking your question.
Thank you for coming and doing this. Amgad with UPS, the courier. I just wondered, one of the things in global interactions is trust. I think you guys are speaking about that quite a bit. How do you handle that relationship and returns? Or if a customer is dissatisfied, I know in a service it's different than in goods, but are returns an issue as well in this global environment as you try to interact internationally, or not for your business? I'm just curious.
We're actually dealing with return right now. We shipped a computer to a customer in Saudi Arabia about a year ago, and they're still trying to return it. So it's out in the Middle East somewhere. So it's been out there for about a year. A lot of it was Saudi Arabia, their customs and duties, which was an issue. So it wasn't really an issue on our part, but it can be a nightmare, if you will. But I'll tell you this, in the international market, particularly with used computers and electronics, their warranties, for example, they're a lot more accepting of material, particularly if it is defective. Not to say that we sell defective products, but if something does go bad or if something breaks, they're willing to take it on and deal with it locally. Because the chance to buy from the United States and buy an American products once again is so great that they're willing to deal with the defective product. And so essentially what that means, they're going to keep it most of the time. Maybe we might have to give them a little bit of refund on the money, but they'll keep the product.
Well, I actually really don't have refunds. I'm very upfront on my website what they receive and what they'll be getting. And if they were truly unhappy, then we would just recreate it. So it hasn't really been a factor. So I kind of eliminated that because it sounds daunting to have to worry about refunds. So.
Mike Schmedeke with the Strong Oaks Wood Shop. This is, I guess, largely a question for Abe again. Most of our products are large and bulky. We're talking about, furniture and whatnot, and we have shipped a certain amount. Germany, Canada, Australia, I think once, and because of the nature of what we're doing, they're also custom. So I'm not shipping a container of beds. I'm shipping someone's bed. Now I was just wondering, are you dealing like one computer to one client, or are you shipping a whole crate or a whole container load of computers? And how do you deal with the shipping costs and the management costs? Because our friend over here from UPS, probably has a similar experience. It's really easy for me to ship a package from here to Ohio, management-wise. Like I have to put very little time or effort or thought into that. But shipping that same bar stool to London is a lot more effort, and that cuts into the bottom line.
So on 1-2 items, it's definitely we're going to use UPS. We do have a relationship with UPS or FedEx. Post office. So yeah, that's 1 to 2 items. But really, once you start getting into larger items or larger purchases, the only cost-effective method that we have found is through containers. So you have to fill a container to maximize the load. We haven't found any. I do know a guy in Houston locally. He's from Romania, and he does a lot of shipping to Romania. And so what he does, he buys computers from me. But he also buys refrigerators, he buys beds, he buys sofas, he buys computers, and that's how he's able to fill the container, and it justifies sending the material to Romania.
Hi, Paulo Fernandez with MasterCard SME Trade Team. Quick question about yourself is, you had mentioned that it takes 30 days to get your stuff through customs. What is your understanding as to what is the holdup there? What is, from your perspective, what is holding that up? And my second question was towards yourself is the costs that you are talking about going to Mexico. Can you be a little bit more specific as to what exactly are you referring to in terms of the costs being higher than going to, say, a market in Europe? So double-edged question.
So when I started the business 5 years ago, the lag time of when I would send the order and they would receive it would be about 2 weeks, and that changed. And now it's it's at 30 days. And I haven't sent an order to Australia in probably over a year, so I'm not really sure what it is now. I should probably send something so I can get an idea, but I can't find the answer. I have no idea why. I can't get an answer from anyone. And I've spoken to a lot of people within the shipping industry, and I have no idea, and they have no idea. So I don't know if something has shifted within their customs on their end. I'm not really 100% sure. And the New York, if an order comes from Europe to the States, and if I have 2 sizes, my larger size will get stopped. The smaller one will not. And I have no idea. It's not that much larger of a package. Again, I cannot find the answer. There's no one to really guide me on that. So.
Dealing with the Mexican, based on what my Mexican customers have stated, the problem is actually Mexican customs themselves. The way they treat computers and electronics, they don't distinguish between new, used. They just see computer electronics, and that's the fee that they charge on that product. And from what I understand, it could be as high as 40%. So, you can do the numbers real quick, where 40% tax or import fee on any item can really raise the value of that item. So that's the problem that we've encountered, at least through what our Mexican customers tell us.
My name is Peter Coharis. I have a boutique international law firm. It could be that many of my clients are a bit bigger, but they tend to complain about 2 things. One, regulatory complexity, and the other, export financing. But I haven't heard any of you talk about those issues. Is it because they don't apply to your businesses, or just, I wonder if that's a concern for anybody on the panel?
So, can you repeat just to make sure, if you don't mind? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the 2 issues that our clients tend to encounter, and we represent both foreign governments and private equity firms and U.S. Investors going overseas. The 2 issues that they encounter, if they're manufacturers, are export financing and the difficulty of obtaining it in an efficient, cheap manner, and the other is regulatory complexity, sometimes on the U.S. side, sometimes overseas. But I haven't heard anybody on the panel talk about those issues. Have those been a concern?
Actually, they haven't been too much of a concern, I think, for everybody here on the panel. Thankfully, the partners that we do use, whether it's in transportation and the payment processing, they really help us out in that area. So when we do actually ship something, a lot of the transportation company that we use is the one who deals with that. So it doesn't apply, at least. And on top of it, as far as we are, I don't know if I think I speak for everyone here. We all get paid first up front. So you're not going to send something overseas, really, at least on our level. So without getting your money.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Sabara from the Embassy of Malaysia. We are a developing country and we would like to move forward with this e-commerce. I think I have a question for Lisa for now because you're doing services. Okay, my two questions are, how do you ensure that your services always fulfill their satisfaction? And if they don't, how do you handle dispute settlements? Thank you.
It's a very good question. Obviously, every now and then you are going to have a dissatisfied customer when it comes to service. We are in the digital age, so unfortunately, a lot of times you have to put out those fires quickly. And a lot of times it's, giving them an extra service in location, or, I've had situations where we're in the middle of a destination wedding and, a violinist doesn't show up or the priest is late. I mean, just situations like that. I mean, it's customer service, so you've got to jump in and, make the client happy by giving them another service or, providing something on top of. But those situations do happen, but you want to prevent them from going digitally in this day and age because that can ruin your business when you're a service business. The internet can build you up and the internet can tear you down just as quickly. So those are the fires that you want to put out very quickly. And when you take on the customer is always right. And, unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of those situations, but we do have, situations that do arise. When you're an event planner, definitely. It's how you handle it.
And how you handle it, like my Q&A page, when I first started it, it wasn't very long. Well, now it's so long that I end up putting a note up top that says, I know this is really long, but please read it. Because you are spending hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars on something, and so I'm very upfront. So nothing is a surprise. So if someone comes to me and they do have a complaint, I pretty much copy and paste from the page that they were meant to read because I directed them there. So that does give me leverage. To where I'm safe and I'm taken care of. But things still arise that I'm still blown away by because I thought I'd seen it all. And as soon as that happens, I add it to my Q&A page and I keep making it longer and longer and longer. But I'm covered, so that prevents all the having to give a refund because it's really hard for a customer to go, well, I didn't know. Well, it's not my fault you didn't read it, and not to be completely crass, but I mean, it's a big purchase, so effort has to be a little bit of effort made on their part. So.
Thank you. Oh, I'm Felicia Brown from AARP. I'm curious, do you all mentor other aspiring small businesses or small businesses who are getting off the ground, given your degree of success in this business arena?
Okay. Down in Houston, at the Houston Community College, they have a business plan competition each year, and I volunteer as a business advisor for these businesses that are starting up. Yes.
I do a lot of giving back and helping out because I feel it's important to encourage others that are interested in getting into business. It is possible, it's easy, so yes, always. I have a group of women that I help now, mentor, that are interested in getting their businesses off the ground. Because I think having someone to mentor you is I have a mentor. I have a business coach myself. So, we all need that. So definitely.
I'm in a group. It's a women's group for small business owners, so we all help each other, and it's nice to give back. It's nice to, be a part of that. But when I started my business, I really had truly no idea what I was doing in regards to, accounting and finance and how to run a business and manage employees. So I ended up acquiring over time 14 mentors to help me round out to know what I was, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I didn't want to make mistakes that were going to affect my bottom line when someone else has already made those mistakes. So if I could gather as much knowledge as I could to really build a successful, strong business, then that was my plan. Because when I started this business, I didn't want to go into any debt. I didn't want to have any debt whatsoever, and I made it work, but I had the mentors to help me. Otherwise, I think I would have made many more mistakes.
Simon Andrews from the World Bank. So I had two questions. One, I was intrigued, Gustavo, by your comment about the segmentation of social media and how that's making it more difficult for you to reach different customer groups, and wondered if the other panelists are experiencing that. And my second question was, how do you finance your businesses? How easy or difficult is it for you to raise working capital or other forms of capital for your business?
Go ahead. You got it. All right, so the first question, I guess, it's just that's the struggle that we're hitting now, is this idea that everything's getting divided up. We did really well, and then it kind of stopped because very specifically, Google did this. They put these pictures, ads in mobile when everybody was going mobile, and I've owned #1 ranking on their page for years. And it's just it pushes me below the fold on the mobile, and it's that kind of stuff. And it's not limited just to the United States; it's limited all over the world. And that's happened with Facebook and Google. And I get it; I'm going to pay for it now. As far as the what was the second question? Finance. PayPal working capital. Look it up. It's allowed me to revamp my website in 2016. Then the next year was the largest sales volume that we've done ever, and it's getting better. And the next year, I was able to purchase a commercial condo, which is from what I understand, the only physical space storefront in the world that's dedicated to wooden wedding rings. And to me, when I went into this, I was in my basement, working by myself. As you can understand the way I'm talking to you, I stay to myself a lot. And I think the internet allowed me to do that, to be myself, and find PayPal was with me since the very beginning, since 1999. I had a PayPal account. Every step of the way, up until PayPal Working Capital, has allowed me to kind of grow. And like I said, I'm a hermit. I stay to myself, but they've been there, and it's allowed me to grow and do the things that I love to do. So the financing part is simple, and simplified for us because of that.
Same answer. PayPal working capital. Look it up. I got my first loan with PayPal back in 2014, and up to date, we've borrowed over $1 million, and we've paid it all back. So PayPal working capital.
Absolutely. PayPal has been a partner. I mean, and I know we're here, and to be honest with you, I don't think my business, 12 years now, wouldn't be where it is today without the partnership of PayPal. And I did try other banks, and I went to merchant banks, and when I start getting these chargebacks because they had 30 minutes without electricity in their hotel in the Caribbean, and American Express gives them all their money back. I hope no one from here from American Express. But those kinds of situations, I don't have to deal with that with PayPal. They're screening the people. There's a 90-day process that they have to go through. That's been a real partner. And then when we need financing, like the first time they offered me working capital, because I had been turned down so many times by so many banks because I'm a service business and I don't have a storefront, when they called and said, we can help you. We can help you grow your business. It's a couple clicks, and you'll know exactly how much it is. And it was very forward. I really didn't believe it. until I clicked, and it actually did happen. And I'm on my 6th working capital loan, which has allowed me to market, expand, hire employees. So I say that PayPal has really been a good partner, and I'm really lucky to have had them.
I just want to say I wasn't paid for that. But what about the segmentation?
Social media. So social media is huge. I use a lot of influencers to push out our experiences. Experience travel is really big right now. So using social media, Instagram, Facebook, all of that is what drives people to me. And I also feel people want to be talked to nowadays. And social media allows us to talk to our audience daily. So I'm constantly staying on top of social media, learning what's new, and constantly staying engaged with it.
Same as Lisa. Social media is huge. It's how I've grown my business. A lot of blogging, a lot of influencers. It's always shifting and changing and against our will, and it's hard when you're on page one. As I was 5 years ago, and I had a fabulous year. It's been my best year. Well, that was my best year because I was featured on a blog on page one. Well, that blog went away, and so did I. So I'm still present. I'm still doing very well. It's very successful, but it's just a different shift, and it's always changing. I mean, I could wake up tomorrow with 20 orders just because I'm put on page one. So I think that shift and always learning and growing and and adding elements and layers and making sure you're just not on Facebook, because I think years ago, businesses were just on Facebook. That was their website. Well, once that shift changed, their businesses plummeted. So you can't rely on one platform. Like I'm on Etsy and I have a WordPress site. I can't just be on Etsy because anything could happen. So with that allows me to get, cover more bases. And I use the PayPal working capital. Again, I didn't want to go into debt when I started the business, so I worked constantly on marketing and advertising, and I did not take out a loan, and the capital was, I didn't know about the capital at the time. I don't know if it was available actually. But I didn't want to take out a loan because a loan sounds absolutely scary. And the deal was with my husband, I would not go into any debt if I was going to take this on. So I kind of lived dollar to dollar for the first, year or two. And then things changed with the economy and things like that. And then I got this email from PayPal. And again, it was the most bizarre email because I was completely needing cash, and I had no idea what I was going to do. I was just going to have to live dollar to dollar the next time. And I called because I thought there's no way that this email is, this true. And they said it was, and I literally had the loan within, the capital within, 15 minutes, and it was perfect. So it helped me grow. I revamped my website, and my business is from June into October, my busy time. So when it's slow, it's nice to know it's there in case I need it for something, if my website crashes or just, anything. That backup, that security is it's the best feeling knowing I've got like a little savings off to the side. So.
Great. Well, I think that's all the time we have today. I want to, first of all, thank all of our panelists for flying out here and being here this week, and for being here this morning to speak with all of us. And I also wanted to mention thank you to Manu and Make Offices for having us here today in this wonderful space. So now I'd like to join me in thanking everybody and welcoming the next panel.